Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Ethan.
This is Rick.
And today we have another Roster United episode. And yes, the last time we had an episode was during Gen Con. And the reason we haven't done an episode since was because we've had so much to play. We've had so much to talk about. And, well, now we have the opportunity to tell you all about it.
Yeah, I think we talked about getting ready to go to Gen Con, a little bit of a preview, right?
Yes.
So we left you on a little bit of a cliffhanger.
We did, yes.
Long cliffhanger.
Very
kind of like
long.
A Season 2 cliffhanger.
I think so, yes. And, well, now is our time. I think we owe it to all of you to, well, see what happened to us during those 3 days, who we've met, who we've seen, and, of course, the games that we've played and that we've bought, or the games that we've also tried out that will be released this month or even next year. So it's going to be very fun. So let's start it off. Can you please explain to us just what happened that first day, the Friday?
Yeah, so Ethan and I, we've been to Gen Con one other year, the year before, so 2022, right after pandemic. We went just for a day. And it's kind of ironic because we lived in Indiana. Gen Con, for you that don't know, is probably, it's got to be the largest gaming convention in the United States. Probably not quite as large as Essen. Mm-hmm. I meant to pull the numbers for attendance this last year, but we went 2 years ago, back August 2022. Excuse me, a little dry, and we went just for one day, so we didn't really know what to expect. We hadn't done the full experience. This time we decided we wanted to try it at least one. I wanted to go all 4 days. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to do it next year again. It was really fun. We stayed at a hotel in Indy. The one thing me and Ethan were talking about was we really wanted to get some Lorcana.
That was our main thing.
That was our number one on our list of things to try. We just like the aesthetic of it. Don't know if we're not big collectible card game players. We're really into board games, right? Mm-hmm. But this one just kind of spoke to us. It was kind of simple. Everybody knows the Disney characters.
Yeah, and we've talked about it actually last episode. Obviously, this was weeks ago, but we talked about our top 5 anticipated games. Lorcana was definitely up there, so we tried to get it, but we also knew that it wasn't just going to be us. It was also going to be other collectible card gamers, other Disney fans, other art fans even, and not just Disney fans / board gamers, but just straight out Disney fans wanted this game, so we knew that this was probably going to be the biggest thing at Gen Con.
We knew it would be big. So we decided, we went with the family, and we decided, Ethan and I, we were going to get down there at, I think, 5 a.m. We wanted to get there early. Gen Con doors opened, I believe, at 9. And we were going to get down there at 5. No, I think we were going to get down there at 6. Doors open at 10.
Yeah.
So we were going to get down there at 6.
Wait,
we weren't
4
sure
hours.
if we would get some. So we wandered around, not sure where the lines were at. We wandered around. We found this line. And most of you, if any of you are tracking that or interested, you heard all about what happened at Gen Con.
It was
so
in
we'll
the
give
news.
our perspective. It was in the news. So our perspective was we probably got there. I would have said that we were in the top 60 people. And again, we didn't know how much Ravensburger had. We knew people were going to be excited for this game.
Definitely.
Apparently, we knew better than Ravensburger did because Ravensburger was not prepared for this at all.
At all.
So when we showed up, they had actually had those kind of roped off lines. So we got into a line. They'd actually come out, added some to kind of organize us a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Workers
and
came out.
we were there. People were coming.
Mm-hmm.
They quit lining the line up after a while. They only did a little bit of the line. And then it just kind of was this disorganized mob. And to give you an idea, if you've ever been... the convention center is inside the footprint of an old football stadium, so it's very large. Mm-hmm. And this line eventually, that morning went all the way out the door and down, we heard down to Lucas Oil Stadium. This is several Indianapolis big city blocks down. But we were probably in the top 60. So I would say about 9:15-ish, 45 minutes before the doors, some kid comes in and just starts taking the line apart.
Without saying anything at first.
All he said was this was a fan line. Even though the Gen Con people put us in that line, he said, this is a fan line. I don't know what you guys are doing. And everybody rushed the doors.
Yes.
Now, the sad part and it's tough for me to describe this on an audio podcast, but there's 4 doors, imagine, out front. And if you step away and come off to the side of those doors, that's where our line was.
Yeah.
The line then snaked around the back of the hallway, which is pretty wide, but the snake went in front of the doors.
Mm-hmm.
So when he did that, all these people that got there hours later ran up to the doors. The people that were towards the front of our line ran up.
Yeah.
And at that point, I knew we were probably not, we didn't feel we would be getting any Gen Con.
No, of course, or Lorcana.
Or
of course
Lorcana.
not, because...
It was crazy.
It was crazy, and especially for not just us, we waited a couple of hours, but it was just was crazy.
It was disappointing to wait that long
and
lose it. But the scary part is that was an uncontrollable mass of people.
Yeah,
like there was a wave of people, and when I felt it the worst, I was really scared. I almost just tried to leave. There was no leaving.
There was nothing.
We wanted to leave. There was for our safety.
Not even
there was no leaving.
When
you hear about people getting like trampled on at a rock concert or something like that, this was the only time I've ever felt like that. And there was no way of getting out.
Definitely. It felt, you were cramped. I mean, I was pinned at one point. I mean, it was bad.
Ravensburger was not ready for this.
And
so, shout out to a couple guys we met there. We just met them there.
Yeah.
They were nice guys. They kind of got split up in that mob. The one gentleman was with us, and I apologize for his name, but he kind of helped us. I was kind of worried about you being younger, and so me and him were able to keep the people at least off you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
try to guide us through a way.
So eventually 10 o'clock hits, and that door just opens, and everybody tries to rush in.
Everybody.
And, I mean, it was like riding a tidal wave. I was telling you.
You couldn't even stop.
I was like, don't try to stop. You just got to go.
Yeah, it was terrible.
And then it stopped, and people are yelling. People are getting upset.
People are.
All of a sudden, this door opens up to the side.
Where no one's going in.
No one can go in there. They kind of blocked it off. People start coming out. And one of the gentlemen that we met was kind of looking at us, and he was like, giving us a little head nod.
Yeah.
And what had happened is Ravensburger said, nope, everybody out. We're going to move the line another way. And then they factored this line a whole nother way, so we ran over there and got in that line. And that line wrapped around. But we didn't know how much Ravensburger had. This is Thursday of Gen Con.
Yeah.
We had other games we wanted to buy.
Mm-hmm.
So, the gentleman we were with, he's like, you know what, guys, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna punt. I'm not gonna get any Lorcana. It's fine, but I'll go check the line out. Come back. He came back. He said, I think you're gonna be here for hours. He said, I can't tell you, and I don't know. And he goes, I don't want you guys to leave if you don't want to lose your spot.
The whole Ravens, and he was a great guy. He took a picture. He let us look at it, and the whole Ravensburger, even those in line or those who weren't, were just. The Ravensburger stand was mobbed, basically, meaning that there was just people surrounding it. I mean, it was just packed with just people looking at the product of Lorcana. And then you have this huge line, and I'm just thinking to myself, well, now we're in this new line, right? Now the official line that Ravensburger did.
Yeah, but it's crazy, and that thing ends up going outside.
It was terrible.
It was terrible. And
so, yeah, it was just terrible.
So he just told us how much...
And
me and you looked at you, and I said, we've got other, we can either try this and maybe miss every other game that we want to buy. And again, these are games. All these games are going to be out 2, 3, 6 months later. But, we had a list of games that we wanted to go home with and have a chance to get.
So and today was not going to be the Lorcana day.
Well, we didn't know. We just did not know.
We did not know.
We'll get into that later, but we did not know.
We did stay a little, but then after all, we
it's like, do we want a chance at buying these other games, or do we want to maybe not get Lorcana and end up getting nothing?
Yeah.
So we stepped out of line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we figured, well, it's still early. Maybe we could get to the other stands where we wanted our other games and. I remember going through the regular doors, the normal doors, and just seeing to the right side of Ravensburger. I'm like, yeah, there's no way, there's no way. Yeah. And now this line is so huge. So even getting back to the line, it's going to take us forever. We're never going to get.
And I was done with Lorcana for Gen Con. I was like, I'm not doing that again. It's dangerous.
It was dangerous, and of course people were just angry.
Yeah.
Because these are people that stayed overnight. These are people that stayed for 8-7 hours, believe that, for this game, and then not getting anything.
Not getting nothing.
So that was just a shame, but we got out of line, we headed straight up, just basically blitzed it. in a way. We took our time, but we did want to get to some of our stands quickly. As you all know, maybe for those who don't, there's a great game that's out now called Sky Team, which is a wonderful game. It's a 2-player game.
We think it's wonderful.
We've
heard it's wonderful.
We've heard it's wonderful because the problem is it's sold out, and it was like the line just to try to buy it was huge. It wrapped around their stand twice.
Yeah, and they only had like 40 copies a day.
And only 40 copies of that.
So we missed out.
And then previewing it.
All 4 days we missed out on.
Previewing it and just playing a couple of rounds to try it. Even that had a big line to go to as well. So Sky Team was one of our top kind of picks because that seemed very fun. You're trying to fly in a plane together, but you can't really see what your teammates doing.
Yeah, you're trying to be the pilot and the co-pilot of this game, and we'll do a review of it. We've got it on pre-order. Hopefully we'll get it soon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we couldn't miss it. But we had a list of games.
Yeah, we did.
I think we did have some success. One of the top games I wanted to get was Three Ring Circus by Devere Games.
Yes.
And I didn't think we would get it, having missed out. But we did get it.
We were
able to pick up Three Ring Circus.
Just looking at it, because I thought the game was going to be big. I saw all these pictures and things like that. Yeah. And then we saw the box, it's like, wow. That's surprisingly...
Like Cascadia. If you know Cascadia, it's about a Cascadia-sized box.
Yeah.
And there's a lot in that box.
There is a lot, though.
In that box. We were able to pick up that.
And it's very beautiful looking as well. A very cool, bright colors really brings out that circus theme.
And we always like to pick that first day to kind of just blitz and get a bunch of games. We always buy too many games.
We always
more
do.
Than we'll ever play.
We bought a lot of games.
We did. We bought Three Ring Circus. We were able to get over to the Stonemaier Games booth.
Yes.
And we bought Expeditions.
Which was awesome. Expeditions.
We'll have reviews on some of these games as we get a chance to go through them for sure.
We also had the chance, I've heard a lot of hype, and when I was towards the side of one of the little preview games or rounds, and I saw them, like, this seems a very interesting game, had a lot of hype, good ratings on it. That game was Barcelona, which we were able to get as well, which seemed wonderful. And while we were there with Barcelona, we also saw this other game where you're trying to make your own book called Book of Times, which is another great-looking game. I saw a bit of the previews of it as well. I obviously, we didn't have a whole lot of chance to actually do a lot of these previews because people were already starting, and then when they were done, people were coming in and things like that. But trust me, throughout this episode, we do have one awesome preview that we did do, which I'm very excited we did because it's amazing. But we did get Book of Time, we did get Barcelona, which I think were two great buys, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I really thought they were, and we didn't get a chance to get into those at Gen Con. We always try to do some of our Gen Con. We always bring some games in case we come back.
Yes.
Or that night before. We also were able to pick up, Big Boss from Funko Games, kind of a remake of another game from back in the times. Kind of a little bit of an impulse purchase. I don't think we were really looking for it. Another game we picked up that was kind of really interesting and cool, because, we went to Gen Con and we also... I have a 10-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter, and then my wife, and the 10-year-old he's starting to kind of get into some of the heavier games. We got to find themes that he likes.
Yes,
and he'll get into it. I think
that's a little bit of a problem.
My wife likes a little lighter, medium games. Kind of a Soul if you play games, Splendor.
Oh yes.
Kind of type level.
AKA that's where we come with the mom approved, which is a very famous thing that we'll say from now on, where. Basically, we'll review those kind of games. At the end, we'll say, Mom approved. No offense to Mom, just saying simple, great games. Type of game. Amazing games. Yeah. I love them.
And there's nothing wrong with it. And
nothing.
That's what's great about the hobby now is you want to play games. When I grew up, for me at least, and there were more games out there, Sid Saxon games and stuff. When I grew up, it was, Monopoly. And I love those games. But I could never get anybody playing with me because the way we played with the home rules and stuff was it was a 9-hour game. Or it was just a lot of chance. But now, we can play games that are nice for gamers, but simpler in the rule set. And that don't mean simple as in dumb, just less complex. Yeah. But one we got was Connecto. Connecto was cool. We kind of just stumbled on it in the booth. It was by Ultra Pro. And basically what I would say is it's competitive Connect the Dots.
Basically, yes.
And it's a basically gamified competitive connect the dots race. And what it is you have a card. Everybody has the same one in front of them, and it's just all these little symbols. You might have a trumpet with a red flag, but you might also have a trumpet with a slightly different angle and a blue flag, or a different shaped flag. Or you might have a dog, or you might have an ice cream cone with pink ice cream, but you might have an ice cream cone with no ice cream, or it has 2 scoops instead of 1. You have all these things that look very similar when you're trying to hurry up and find them.
Yeah.
And then what you do is you flip a card over, and that card, on a simple card, will have basically a circle showing you the order you need to connect those different symbols together. And you start drawing the line, and as you try and follow it and you find them and you connect them, you end up drawing a picture of a tree or a fox or a horn or something. And whoever guesses that first kind of flips over, they get the most points, and everybody else can catch up, and it's really fun.
It's really fun.
And eventually you can get 2 circles, or maybe it's maybe the symbols aren't connected in a circle, so it does matter where you start. They're connected in a straight line, and you have to go in order. And you're drawing really complex pictures, but it's really fun. It's fast. It's easy. So that was definitely one we stumbled on. That was kind of a hidden treasure that we found that we really loved.
Yeah, definitely a hidden gem there, because that was something I did not really expect from a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, how the guy teached us, also the people that we played with, that we previewed it, they seemed very to be very joyful while they were playing this game, and I thought it'd be good for a little mini party here, or like a little party game there. Definitely make people laugh and go crazy with, it's this, it's that, and try to write it down quickly. You can even do teams if you wanted to, although that's not part of the rules, but you could even do that.
Can come up. It's a party game. It's a light thing, but it's really fun.
It was very fun. Continue. That game was just phenomenal. Another great game that I actually stumbled upon. We were passing, as you all know, I'm not a huge fan of Western Legends, right? But I'll give it a second chance, with an expansion or whatever. I went by their booth. I saw about half a table with this new Western Legends thing. It had cards, and it was called Western Legends Showdown. And at the time I didn't know this, but it's a 1v1 trying to get the most points in your own little suit or
your tableau.
Or your little tableau.
Yeah, you're right. The most points in your it's like a row of control points you're kind of trying to do. So there's like 3 points out there, and you're trying to. They each have different ways that they score, and you've got to play. It's a very small deck of cards. Is there 2 suits, right? It's like spades and hearts or something like that.
Basically, I have all the reds. I'll have 9 cards in my deck.
Diamonds. They're like
of diamonds,
like
or
1 to 9, ace to
like
9 or something, and then there's ace to 9 of spades.
Yes, and every card has a cool title, like Wallop or
if you
you
played Western Legends, they kind of look like those cards.
Yes, they are exactly the same art.
They're not just a card like a playing card. The Ace of Spades, but they have a name and they have a power.
And they have a power,
just like Western Legends.
Exactly, and when you play these cards, you get to activate that power and so on. It's a great game. I'm definitely going to do a review about it, because that was a game that I had to get. But I didn't know that at the time. I went past it, I'm like, it's another expansion for Western Legends. I didn't, I kind of saw, I'm like, alright, well, maybe I'll come back to it later. But while my brother was in the Haba, is it Haba?
Haba booth.
Haba booth. And, Haba's for kids. And actually, it was a great game that they loved, a mining game or something crazy like that.
Yeah, that we picked up. That was pretty cool.
They really enjoyed that.
Dexterity game with the... Yep.
Yeah, they really enjoyed that. And that's not my kind of game. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go check out that Western Legends expansion, I think it was. I get to the booth, the lady there, very sweet, very nice lady. She tells, hey, sit down, do the preview for this. And I'm like, is this an expansion for Western Legends? She's like, no, this is actually a standalone game from Western Legends where every player has a deck of 9 cards. You're going to play all 9 cards. If you finish your 9 cards first, and the other player still has some cards in his deck, he's going to continue playing. This game literally takes 5 to 10 minutes. And that very intrigued me very much. So I sat down, I started playing. The other guy in front of me was very, confident, I guess you could say, that he was going to win and things like that. So I'm like, all right, well, let's do this. And so she teaches us the rules and things like that. I'm like, this is pretty cool. So I'm over there doing with my hands and things like that, playing different combos with your cards, because obviously that's a strategy. You can move a whole stack to another point and score all those cards, and whoever has the most scored cards, on your side, you win the game. So you're just doing little itty bitty things, try to get your opponent to bite and to, eventually move those or just score them, depending on how the way, that location is being scored. But it was very fun. I actually was able to win, I believe, 3 games of that in a span of 20 minutes. And it was very fun. This is called Western Legends Showdown. Not an expansion, standalone. Definitely as well, I might say, a hidden gem. Because I didn't see a lot of people around it. Oh, and by the way, the actual game is like a wallet.
Yeah, it fits in your pocket.
It fits in your pocket. Think about that. It's just a wallet. Literally, it's like, you just fold it and then you're off to go.
You can take to the restaurant and play while you're waiting for your food. It's really cool that way.
It's amazing. And that was just, that was a cool thing. And I told you, Dad, I'm like, hey, this game's amazing. I gotta go pick it up. You're like, yeah, go ahead, do it. $10. $10, what a steal.
It really was for the amount of joy we got on
it.
Yeah.
And obviously we'll do a review of it, but quickly, it's a mom approved. Mom loved that game. Yeah. We played it outside even at a restaurant, and she loved it. So it's simple, quick, fun. Loved it. I had a great experience with it.
Yeah, and we picked up a couple of. I'll probably zip through some of the other games because they we'll want to play more, and some are just simple games. Probably already heard of them. We also got to go to the Funko booth. Mm-hmm. My son Luke loves Indiana Jones. Yeah. So we all love Indiana Jones, but he was really excited about some Indiana Jones games. So there was Indiana Jones Sands of Adventure that we watched a little bit of a demo of, and we picked that up. It's a Funko game. You can get it at Target now. Recommend it if you have kids or if you're an Indiana Jones fan. It's an easy, simple game. It's kind of cool, though. It's got this little tower that you fill with gems. Yeah. And it'll eventually tip over, which triggers a fast action card-playing game.
Which goes basically into a Uno on steroids, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. So you're playing kind of like deliberately moving around this kind of tableau of cards and trying to get stuff, but eventually that thing will just flip, and you've got to hurry up and play, and you're kind of going through scenes of the movie, and it was really fun.
It's phenomenal.
It was.
I really
And we also got a kind of an escape room type Indiana Jones game,
Cryptid.
Indiana Jones Cryptid, and basically what it is, and Indiana Jones is perfect for this, right? Because the whole movie is about him kind of solving puzzles and trying to find where the Ark is, and there's, I believe, three puzzles in it, 3 sets of puzzles, so kind of like 3 different game nights in there, where you can go through and do the different puzzles, and it's really fun. It's really cool how that worked. We had a good time with that.
That was there.
We also got to pick up 4 Corners was a game we picked up that we tried. My little girl liked it as well. You're basically throwing, you're placing kind of, I guess you would say, tiles on this map, and it has a symbol, kind of like a drawing or a design in the middle, but each corner has a piece of that as well, and depending on when the tiles touch at the corners, they can form one of these symbols, and you're trying to get different symbols. You can rotate them, and you're trying to complete different designs to get points. That one was kind of cool. We picked up a game called Four Humors, which we haven't got a chance to play yet. It looks semi-interesting, but I'll tell you honest, the reason I really liked it is just the designer. He was really genuine. You've talked about kind of,
designing
as a hobby, designing a game just for fun. And he took the time to kind of ask you about it. I mean, he's trying to sell his game. Yeah. People are asking questions. He's teaching it there. But he took the time to talk to you about board game design and see what you're interested in and kind of talk about what he went through. And it doesn't seem like it's the strongest game in the world, but I really appreciated that about him.
Yeah, great
and
guy.
How he was. He was a really nice
guy.
Really
good designer.
And then, if you don't mind, I'll blitz through 2 more, and then we'll talk about probably the last 2 big topics, for me at least. We also went to and picked up Far Shore.
Yes, Everdell.
Which is the new Everdell. So what that is this is, like the name indicates, if you've never played Everdell, Everdell's a tableau building game. It's a great game.
Top 10.
It's just amazing, and we'll have to do a full review on it. And we have the complete edition of that.
We have
every
everything.
expansion of it, every card they've ever sold of that.
We even have the big box as well.
Yeah,
it's
you're
huge.
playing. So you're playing. You're these cute little critters, and there's the post worker is a pigeon. Is a pigeon delivery person. So. And you're building this tableau out, trying to get points and synergies and stuff. Well, Far Shore, they did all these expansions. Well, Far Shore is nice because what they did is it's a new game.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to own any of the other ones. It's on the coast instead of in a meadow in the middle of a forest. So there's different mechanics in there. So that one looked cool. And then we got My Little Everdell, which is a kid's version of Everdell, and we did play that at Gen Con.
We did play it. Luke loved it. Actually, he did. Did he win that game? He won it, didn't he?
Luke ended up winning.
He
beat
really
you
good.
and Mom.
And I was trying.
Allie. Yeah, he did a good job.
He did fantastic.
And it's got all the little berries in it from the regular Everdell, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a children's game. It is a little bit. It doesn't have quite the synergies, but it is a gamer kids game. I'd say 8 to 10 pretty easily. Yeah, and maybe if your kids are gamers a little younger, but we had a good time with that.
That was very fun.
We picked up a couple small games that maybe we can review a little later.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, we picked up Risk Strike. Kind of did that on the way out one day.
On the way out, we saw this very shiny, cool gold logo that said Risk.
It had the gold embossed, embroidered or embossed sign.
And the funny thing is that was on the side. That was on our right side. It was on a little table display. A guy was there, ready to talk about it if anybody was interested. We were in another little table right next to it to the left, and we were literally looking at another game. And in my mind, I'm like, all right, well, this game's all right. I look to the right, and I see this Risk Strike. I'm like, no way. Is this actually Risk? Like, Risk? Like, the game...
Yeah, and we have a family member, to give a little bit of background, we have a family member, the only game he plays is Risk. He just loves Risk. Like, we have to play a 6, 7, 8 hour game of Risk when we go down there, which we enjoy doing. And we played Risk Legacy with him.
But he has seen, and I have seen that, and I think everybody has seen that with older games, they tend to take such a long time. Like we've said before with the Monopoly, Risk especially is it's like a 3-4 hour game, maybe even more, depending on how good you strategize. But we saw this Risk game, and it was global domination in 20 minutes or less. And just, can you run us through just how, just a little bit of how that maybe?
Basically, and how it works is there's no map. Oh, there is a map, I guess, on one of the cards, but
yeah.
You're basically going after the continents like you would in regular Risk. And you're doing battles with, the 3 red dice for the attacker and the 2 black dice. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to collect sets of cards.
Yeah.
And just like in Risk, each continent is bigger than the other. So there's, Australia cards and Asia cards and North America cards. And just like in Risk, you're trying to collect that. You're trying to collect as many cards as it depends. So, for example, if you want to control Australia, you have to own 2 Australia cards. Mm-hmm. And the way you attack is you can attack from inside the continent, or you can attack from continents that are connected to each other on the map.
But you have to have that card.
But you have to have it. So, for example, if I have 3 Asia cards, I can try and go after Ethan's 1 Australia card. So I can do a 3v1.
Yeah.
And we roll dice just like in Risk. Any ties go to the defender. And if I win, I get his Australia card. If I lose, depending on how many soldiers I lose, those cards go into the tableau to be picked up later. Mm-hmm. So at the beginning of your turn, first thing you do is you draw cards. You can either draw from the continent deck, and hopefully you get ones you're looking for. Mm-hmm. You can draw from the middle, which is the cards people have lost and throw in the middle. So that's a risk. If you lose the wrong card, now nobody has to draw off the deck. Blind, they can just take a card off the middle and it matches what they need. Mm-hmm. Or there's this deck of troop cards, or special cards, I guess.
Yeah.
Some of them have troops that you can add. So if you only have 2 attackers, you can add 1 to make it 3. Some of them cancel attacks if you're defending. Some of them add points to rolls. Some of them can add stuff to other battles. So if you're trying to help someone win a battle, to stop someone from winning, you can do that. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to collect enough to earn the continent token.
Yeah.
So for example, let's talk about North America. I need 5 North American cards. Mm-hmm. Once I do that, I take the coin off the middle of the table, and it is mine.
Own it. Mm-hmm.
If you gain 2 coins, you win. The nice thing is, back in Risk, everybody always wins for Australia. It's 2 free armies every turn. Problem is this. if I have 5 North America cards and someone attacks me and I lose one, as long as they don't have 5 North America cards, I still contain control of North America. Mm-hmm. So if I lose one, I go down to 4, and the person who just took my North America card from me only has 3 or even 4, I get it. Until somebody gets 5, I keep that. So Asia takes forever to get. It's risky. But once you have 8 Asia cards,
you're never going to lose it.
You're not going to lose it until someone else gets 8. There's not 16 cards of Asia in that deck. There's only like 11. So people have to take them all from you. So it's kind of neat. It does play in about 20 minutes. It's a good coffee shop game.
It really is.
When we go. And I thought it was really fun to play.
I like it because obviously, I mean, there is still luck, right? I mean, you still have to roll the dice, and, you know, for some reason, the Risk just loves me for some reason. I roll 6s, I mean, just out of the cannon. I really do, just every time for some reason. And obviously that can frustrate, like, you know, you, for example, trying not to, you know, you're trying to win me over or whatever, you win the cards or whatever, and just going.
When you roll, but that's okay.
It's just there's something on the dice magnets. I don't know, but it's very fun Risk Strike, and obviously we picked it up. It's actually at Target right now. Great copies of it on Target.
Yeah, and Walmart has it too, I believe, and it's cheap.
It is affordable.
It's just a nice fun game.
It really is.
And maybe we'll do like a quick rule summary review of it one night afterwards. We kind of did a little bit now, but
we did, yeah. But it was fun. It's fantastic. We'll definitely go more in depth with you know, our experiences and, you know, what we truly think about it. But to be brief, it's very fun.
Yeah, it's good. And I think there's 2 other things I wanted to cover.
Yes, definitely.
The first is what happened with Lorcana.
Yes. We have to go back. So Thursday, excuse me, it stinked, okay? We went back to the hotel. We're like, man, this stinks. You know, my mom's there is like, you guys didn't get any? And we're like, no, sadly, there was a whole big crowd mob thing or whatever. It was on the news. Was it Friday or was it Saturday?
So, let me finish. Yeah, or let me add. So, yeah, you're right. So, I think it was Thursday night, Ravensburger announced that the line for there would be an official line, and it was formed at 6 p.m. Thursday night
or Friday,
for the next morning. No.
Oh, Thursday
6 p.m.
night?
Thursday night.
Yes.
For the next morning, Friday morning.
That's right.
And, so, you know, me being dad and everything, I just told you, it was like, no, we ain't doing that again. It was too dangerous. I didn't want to put us in a position. You agreed. It was too dangerous to go be in that line. You know, they said there was a line before and there wasn't. So we got up Friday morning. I just want to step back again.
Yeah.
Thursday, I went to the Ravensburger booth. Of course, people are still in line trying to buy it. Or they were out for the day. Yeah. This was at the end of the day at Gen Con. And, no, excuse me. This was Friday. So Friday they formed this line. Thursday night, lady was there they interviewed her in Indianapolis News.
He did.
She was there at 6 p.m. to wait. She was first. Got up in the morning, checked the news a little bit, just kind of heard on. And this line had formed, and they did it right. Yes. They did do it right.
They learned a mistake.
They had a line formed that was cordoned off. It was special. It was away from the general Gen Con entrance, so people that didn't want to do anything having to do. So Thursday, people that had nothing to do with Lorcana could not get in because it was all these people trying to flood the Lorcana. They had this line all roped off. It went all the way out the door again.
Yep.
But if you were in the top 300 or 400 people, you got a wristband.
Yeah.
And you could not buy unless you had a wristband. So they were going out and putting wristbands on people, and they continued doing that throughout the thing. So, and then they came in at 6 o'clock in the morning to those people in that line that were in the line that early, and were handing out Danishes and coffee and orange juice for those folks. And so that was kind of nice that, you know, Ravensburger realized they'd screwed up, and that could have been very dangerous. So, so Friday night rolls around, and this was kind of the day. Thursday was kind of cool. It was just kind of me and Ethan day. My wife slept in. We went early trying to do Lorcana. We rushed around, bought some games. We went to, P.F. Chang's.
Yeah,
for lunch. We bought some cockroach poker. We played cockroach poker. We decompressed at P.F. Chang's. Yes. And then went back to the hotel. Friday we went as a family. Bought a few more games. That was a fun day. We got to meet Alan R. Moon at the...
we did.
At the Ticket to Ride demo for Ticket to Ride. Nice. And he was super nice. Gave my wife some card sleeves. Took pictures with us.
Yeah, he did.
We were kind of geeking out a little bit with him.
I even asked him a question just sorry, a little off
Yes,
topic here.
that is a great story.
I asked him because we went. I'm like, oh my gosh, wait a minute, that's Alan Armoon. Oh my gosh, it's the guy that basically, other than Catan, he kind of swarmed in and
I would say in the U.S., Ticket to Ride is kind of one of the biggest hobby games ever, outside of maybe Catan.
definitely because it's one of the biggest selling board games and or hobby games at least. And I went up to him. He was very nice and loving. Like we said, we took pictures with him. I asked him a question though. I'm like, wait a minute, so why train games? I asked him.
That was funny.
That was funny because I only know Alan Armoon for Ticket to Ride, right? So I wondered, okay, well, why trains? Why did it have to be trains? And he said, well, all of my games are trains. And
I only design train games.
I'm like, oh. And he said that in a nice way.
Yeah, he was super nice.
He was so nice. I'm like,
funny.
Okay. I didn't know what to say. I felt so stupid. I'm like, oh my God, it's Alan Armoon. Anyway, but then after that, I'm like, oh, okay. And how long did it take you to really design Ticket to Ride? How long did that take you? And obviously for us, it's a simple game, but to design it I assume it takes
balance everything and
years and stuff. He said that one day he was out in a walk or something like that.
He was in Atlantic City.
He was in Atlantic City, just out there, enjoying it, and he said that he was just walking in and instantly, out of nowhere, he had 95%
of the game.
95% of the game like designed on his head just by walking in Atlanta City. And he went back home, wrote it all down. He gave it to the company. The company did the rest of the 5%.
Did everything. And no, he had to finish out the rules and flesh it out.
Yeah.
And of course it was developed now, but basically the gist of the game he had it figured out in his head.
He said that the routes, the how many number of trains, even
the
cards, how to get the cards and tickets, all that awesome rules and stuff, instantly in his head. For 95%. It's not like half of it. It's not like maybe a little piece here and then later he developed it. 95%.
He could not have been a more nice, humble gentleman. I mean, we were telling him, it's my wife's favorite game, and he just, he gave her that thing, and she just thought the world of it. It was like some card sleeves for a Ticket to Ride Europe game. He just gave it to her. He had a bag of stuff he was kind of handing out to folks, and he gave us
only selected though.
Yep, and we got to sit down and play
Mm-hmm.
the first round of the new Ticket to Ride Legacy game that's coming out that he co-designed with Rob Davio and Matt Leacock.
And I asked him a question. I'm like, what do you think about the new Legacy Ticket to Ride? He's like, well, he said it took him like...
Yeah, that was cool.
How many years?
It took him like 6 years.
6 years to do it.
Working with those guys.
And it's obviously with one of the best Legacy designers. He did Pandemic Legacy.
Yeah, Rob Davio.
That's his name.
Is kind of the godfather of Legacy.
Yes.
He did Risk Legacy, which was kind of the first.
As well, yes.
Well-known one. And then he worked with Matt Leacock on Pandemic Legacy, and then they both worked with Alan Armoon on Ticket to Ride Legacy, which we have pre-ordered and will play.
We will play.
Mama loved it. But anyway, that was really fun. So, we completely digressed. So
we did. Sorry.
So
keep going,
that was on Friday, and, Friday night, we were just so burnt by what happened Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Just in my mind, I couldn't even fathom going for Lorcana again. I didn't want to do that. We're not one of these crazy collector boys, But we talked, and I told Ethan, I said, hey, look, I know it's the number one game you want to get. If they've truly got these lines under control and they're doing this, I'll go with you. We'll go and we'll try it again. What do you think?
And I said, well, yeah, let's do it.
But I'm like, if we're doing it, so I need to step back again. So Friday, after we got done with all that with Alan Armoon, we went by the Ravensburger desk and we got to find it wasn't the designers. It was the guy running the booth. It was the Ravensburger, the business guy. Like he was.
I bet spokesperson.
He was for at least for that convention, and we kind of explained to him. I just kind of took a chance and said, I was real dangerous, and he said, yeah, we just didn't expect it. He goes, we didn't think it'd be anything like that. We weren't prepared. I said, but if people were people getting, he goes, yeah, Thursday. And Friday, and this was probably about 5 or 6 o'clock Friday afternoon, so the day was about over in the hall. He said, yeah, we didn't run out to about 2 p.m. He said, we've got a lot of Lorcana each day. He said, we want people to get it. So we decided to go, but I told you, I was like, I don't
do it.
want to waste all our Gen Con day in line.
And I said, of course.
You said, yeah, we didn't. We didn't want to be there at 2, which we knew what that meant. So we wanted to get our Lorcana early, so we could continue. Yes. So we got there at. What time did we leave the hotel? Do you remember?
Was it like at 11?
We left the hotel at 3 a.m.
3 a.m. That's right.
And we got down to the.
I didn't sleep at all then.
Yeah, we stayed up. We got up about 3. Got down to Indianapolis about 3:30. Got down to the hotel, the place at 3:30.
Yeah.
And because we wanted to get in line, and we wanted to make sure we got it. Yeah. But we also didn't want to wait all day.
Yeah.
And we knew if we got down there like 7 or 8, that line the day before was out the door. Yeah. We'd be waiting in line for 6 hours. So
we did it.
We did still wait in line 6 hours, but we had more fun, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And we were like in the top 50.
Yeah,
we were in the top 50.
So the way this worked is we got there, and people were sleeping bags, laying down. There was a cordon off line. We got there and we were like, you know what? This ain't too bad at all. We took 3 Ring Circus with us.
We did.
We set it up in the floor. We're playing games on the floor. Somebody from the Gen Con security comes by and he's like, hey, no sleeping. So people had to kind of at least sit up and at least nod off against the post or the wall where the line was at. Mm-hmm. We kept playing. Right as we're about to finish the first game we were playing 3 Ring Circus, the guy comes by and he goes, we need everybody to stand up. We need to bring the line in tighter. This is like 4:30 or 5 in the morning. So we had to pack up the game really fast. It's probably still in here.
I hate it because for those of you who might not know or do know, I love to pack my games. I take my time with it. I make sure, like, you look at Marvel United or you look at anything, I'm always sleeving it. I'm always doing these things. And we had to throw it all in the box. I'm like, no! And it was the last turn.
I did pretty quick. It was the last turn before we were to score final points.
It was very fun, though.
And
that's not important to the story at all.
I think that was right. I think I was going to win.
I think maybe.
It was the first game. But
it was, yeah.
Anyway.
Beginner's luck.
So we tightened up the line.
Yeah.
We did that like 3 or 4 times. Eventually, they did have us. Ravensburger showed up, and they brought Danishes and coffee.
Oh, it was beautiful.
And orange juice and cookies. And you know what was cool? There were people walking around passing stuff out. I mean, these were people in the line just passing stuff out. I mean, it's kind of like a giant party.
I confused one of the people in the lines that they were co-workers because he had like a shirt, like the exact same shirt a co-worker had. So I asked the guy, I'm like, hey, could you pass me some cream or some sugar, please? And he's like, yeah, of course. I didn't know this.
He was just a guy
in the line. I'm over here asking him like, hey, could you give me some?
Yeah,
some
so eventually we had to count off. They want to know where we were at. We were number 41 and 42.
Yep.
We got a wristband.
Yep.
When the doors opened at 10 o'clock, or at 9:30 they opened up and let the Gen Con line kind of start getting out in front of the booth.
And I totally forgot about this too, but every person can only get one of everything.
Yeah, you could get one of each thing for a bracelet.
Yes.
So they would snip your actual badge to say you bought it. So for the whole convention, you were only allowed one set of everything. So they were selling playmats, a booster box, a playmat. You could pick which one. They had a deck box, an extra pack of cards, and one of the little binder folder things, and then a pack of sleeves. So we got one of each.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to play the game. We weren't trying to get it to sell it per se. We wanted to play the game. And there were things that went into some of that craziness. So while we're in line, they came by and offered some Lorcana like pins, like the little Disney pins you get.
Cool pins, yeah.
Yep. So we got some of those. There was a Mickey Mouse Skatir Gen Con exclusive card that we picked up, which we each got one of those.
Which at first we thought, all right, it's just a cool little, Now go to eBay, ladies and gentlemen, and you'll see that card.
Yeah, so it's pretty sweet. So, so we ended up getting some.
We got Lorcana.
We got some Lorcana. We've been playing it. We'll do a better review, I think, later on it.
Definitely.
But we really enjoyed it. We opened up the deck boxes. We never got any of the enchanted cards while we were there.
Yes.
We have since gotten some enchanted cards when we bought some at Target, but I'm sure that's a story for another podcast.
That's another story because that's an amazing story.
But we did have a couple of legendary foils.
Yep.
And the game's just really fun. We enjoyed it. We'll probably get into it.
Yeah, I mean, we got. I mean, I don't know about you, but just personally speaking here, because I know how big Lorcana was, how much everybody wanted. But once I had that bag of Lorcana, I don't know about you, but I felt like, ooh, we better get to the hotel
we were
quick.
some eyes on it. We bought some sleeves, and then I think we got out of there because we were pretty wasted that day.
We did, yes.
Did we end up going back with Mom on Saturday? I can't remember.
I don't think so. No, it was Sunday when we went back. But
no, but I thought we went back and
did
bought
we?
Unbreakable. Anyway, so yeah, well, yes, we did go back.
We did. We did. Okay, yeah. And
no, we did not go back. I can't remember.
Well, all I know is that when we got to the apartment, I think we were gonna go back. But was it before we did? We opened Lorcana.
Yeah, I don't think we went back. We did not go back.
Not?
No,
we did not.
What
opened
we did
Lorcana.
is we did not leave though, because we got to do the one other thing I wanted to talk about. So we had signed up previously to play Star Wars Unlimited.
Oh, that's right.
So Star Wars Unlimited is the Fantasy Flight Star Wars trading card, collectible card game that's coming out.
Yes.
Similar,
we played it.
We played it.
4 times.
So real briefly, we got to play it twice. It was fantastic. I really liked it. I want to see more. I'm not a fan of the art on the cards so far.
No.
Some of them are cool, but it's kind of like it looked like they went for, if you're familiar with the old 80s Dark Horse comic kind of coloring, just real bright, different colors. It kind of reminds me of that Dark Horse. It probably isn't that.
That was cool.
It was kind of cool, but it's like they missed it a little bit. Some of the cards are neat, and they got time.
Chewbacca looks like a mop.
Yeah, it looked kind of weird. But you basically have a base that you're trying to destroy, the other person's base. You have 2 tracks to do that. You have kind of a land battle and a space battle. And certain cards can only be played on the land side, and certain cards can only be played on space cards side. They can attack each other. And then you have a leader in the middle. So in this case, in the demo, it was Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker. So we got to play. We had signed up for a demo on Saturday, but Friday we got to just get in line and got a demo. So when we went back on Saturday for our actual signed up demo, they just had space everywhere. So we got to actually play. We were the only ones they said that ever played Darth Vader versus Darth Vader. Like we played Darkseid versus Empire versus Empire.
Yes,
and that was cool.
That was really cool.
And but it was a fun game. I don't know if I want to get into it, but I'll keep an eye on it when it comes out. If you want to know more about that, go to fantasyflight.com.
Definitely.
They actually have a special on the top of their page. You click on it, it'll take you to a special Star Wars Unlimited website. Yep. They're starting to spoil more of the cards that we didn't see at Gen Con, which have looked kind of more cool.
Yeah, I
think
more
bases, more characters. Will add to it.
Mm-hmm.
The art just turned me off. The gameplay was kind of neat. But
like
the art turned me off.
The Luke Skywalker, and again, not get into too many details, but the Luke Skywalker Darth Vader looked awesome. But everything else, it's like they took all this time to focus on Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader looking awesome. All the other cards, other than like maybe the AT-ST.
Yeah, there was a couple of cards that I thought
I mean, there were some
neat,
cool ones, but
yeah, you're right.
You know, it's just the rest just kind of slimmed down, and obviously that kind of didn't. It doesn't really attract a lot of people like Lorcana. Like Lorcana art is top notch art.
Lorcana art's just gorgeous.
It is
you
top
can tell
notch.
Disney's put money into it, but
yeah, Star Wars Unlimited though, game wise, I thought was pretty interesting.
The gameplay I thought was cool.
I did like it. Obviously we've played Lorcana a lot. I do seem to enjoy Lorcana a lot more. But I definitely want to give Star Wars Unlimited a try. They do have probably one of the sickest, awesome looking deck boxes as well.
Their deck boxes are phenomenal.
I want a deck box for Lorcana, man.
The Star Wars deck box. The way it's just kind of how your deck fits, but then you put the leader on the side on kind of like a thing on the outside. It was really neat.
It was cool. It was like one of those crater looking things from Star Wars. It was amazing.
Yeah, but it kind of had like those game-genic feel. And look, we couldn't touch one. They were only in a glass case, but it was pretty neat.
It was really cool. But we had a great experience.
We had a great fun time. You know, we ate good. We had fun. We walked around. We demoed a ton of games. We'll probably just could do an Elmo's podcast on that. I mean, just games we were pulled over and just like, I'd probably say my surprise demo that I thought, and it was probably a little wonky. Probably the demo I got that surprised me the most, and I don't know if we want to get into it tonight, but Sea of Thieves was a cool demo.
That was really cool.
That was kind of neat how that worked. Cool. It did a really good job of capturing it. We got to see some demos, older games that have been out, Too Many Bones. was cool.
We bought that, didn't we?
Yeah, we ended up buying the expansion. Well, it's a standalone expansion, so we could play it to kind of get into it from Chip Theory Games. Yeah, we had a good time.
We had a great time, and I really loved it. And obviously, again, we could probably do a whole nother episode just talking about the things we saw and just how cool some of the booths look. Like Everdale booth was probably the best looking booth of them all.
Yeah, it was cool. You could actually get in that tree. They've had that tree
Everdale tree, yeah.
I believe at a couple of conventions they've been at.
Yeah.
But you can take a picture inside of it.
Cool.
We got a plushie there.
We got a plushie. Think about that.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
That was cool.
We also some cool artwork.
Yeah.
They had taken
shirts and
box covers and made 3D hangable art that I was jealous about, and I hadn't spent all my money on games. I might have bought some.
Yeah. Dang it, we only went through every
cool
other stand before we did that.
Yeah, it was just fun. We had a good time.
It was really cool, and honestly, also we're big fans as well of Marvel Crisis Protocol. Not getting too into it, but it's a miniature game, very fun, from Atomic Mass, and we saw as well some championship stuff there that was going on. We went by their booth, and they just had tons of games and players just playing it, and we actually even saw the new set as well for Marvel Crisis Protocol and Star Wars Shatterpoint, which is their new miniature game as well. Quickly, we also went by the CMON. I went by, I think, Friday and Saturday twice early to try to see if I could get the Spider-Geddon Marvel Unite, which was probably one of the top 5 things I also wanted. Really cool looking. You kind of get the new features of it sooner than waiting now till mid-November. They pushed it that far. It was going to be in July to mid-November now, so stay tuned for that. But I sadly missed the opportunity to get it. We did run into, though, however, to Eric Lang himself.
That is true. We ran into
Eric Lang himself, and he was on a rush. He was somewhere. I know he was going to a meeting. He was in a hurry. But the guy took time to talk to us for a little bit. He even gave us a selfie. And that guy, Eric Lang, is tall, people. I didn't know he was that tall.
So he designs a lot of, a lot of people know Blood Rage.
Yeah.
Rising Sun, Ankh. He was, kind of the chief designer of CMON for a while. So he's over at Marvel United. And he was on his way. I mean, we didn't want to be rude. We were like, we don't want to stop you, dude. We just want to tell you we love your games. He's like, no, let's take a picture. I mean, he was super nice. He was super
selfie mode. Cool. Selfie mode. Eric Lang is the best mode of Eric Lang you can get. And obviously, I mean, this whole podcast started with his game. So without his game, or at least that design, none of this podcast would have existed. So it was just really cool getting to see him. Obviously, he was in a rush. I wish I could have asked him some questions about, how long it took him to make the game and stuff. But it was just cool to go up to him and basically say, hey, man, look,
Yeah, that's
you made my podcast,
that was awesome.
basically.
That was so fun.
And then once he left, believe it or not, we saw one of the Murph brothers? Brothers Murph? And it was to Nick. Nick is...
Nick's the younger one. He used to have the longer hair. He's got it short.
He's got it short now.
He was just sitting there by himself. Kind of said hi to Eric Lang, and then we took
sitting down.
He was just sitting there checking out. I think he was sending some pics out from the games he bought. Mm-hmm. And Mike unfortunately had to leave. I think he had some issues. Some personal things come up. So. But he took a picture with us.
He did.
He judged our game haul.
He did.
He gave us a thumbs up on the game haul. Yeah. We weren't quite done yet, but he gave a thumbs up, and he was just super nice.
He was amazing.
It was really cool to just talk to some of those folks and get to meet them. You met someone else?
I met Jesse from Quackalope. I did not. I just because I haven't had a lot of time to see some of his videos, sadly. But I did find out that he was recently married. I didn't see his wife. But they were going to basically change Quackalope, to something new and exciting. And now he was married to his wife now, and it's just a cool thing. I did not meet her, sadly. I think she was off doing something else with another stand. But I met him, and he was great. He talked to me. He said, what's your favorite kind of videos? What do you like about them? Things like that. We just went kind of back and forth. This was during Alan R. Moon's... while we were talking to him, I kind of went to the side. I'm like, wait a minute, I know you. You're Jesse from Quackalope, and he was a great guy. And it was just very fun to see all these guns. Obviously, we also went past the Dice Tower booth as well, so we saw. I saw Tom Vassell. I think you were there, right? Yep. We saw Tom Vassell, and I saw the whole gang come by towards the Lorcana line and stuff like that. I didn't want to bug them, but I did see them. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I met everybody basically that we see.
Well, a lot of folks. Yeah,
other than Watch It Played.
And Secret Cabal wasn't there this time.
Rodney Smith, sadly. I want to meet Rodney. He's such a nice guy.
Maybe we'll run into him one of these days.
It'd be phenomenal. Sure. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we kind of went a little far on this episode, but it's a very fun, exciting time we had. Definitely, if you're new to board gamers or you've already been gaming for a while, definitely go to Gen Con. It should be around August, I assume. They'll do a release date of it soon. But it's very fun. If you can go with as many friends and family members as you can. Very exciting, and we've obviously had some great memories that we'll never forget. So it was very fun, and obviously the games that we've played were great. It was really a great convention that year. It was one of the best. I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and we'll see you on the next one. And as always, this is Roster United. I am your host, Ethan.
And this was Rick.
And we hope you have a great night. See ya.